It was way past midnight. After tossing and turning in bed for hours, I finally got up to grab some water. The lights in the living room were still on, casting a soft glow through the house. It was the night my brother Casey had sent Paul over to stay with me for a while. I wasn't really close to Paul, but Casey had asked me to take him in. He needed a place to stay after his world had fallen apart. When I heard the story, it broke my heart. His wife had cheated on him, shattering everything he thought he knew about love and loyalty. Paul, who had been married to the same woman for years, was left blindsided and devastated. On top of that, Casey's son was struggling too. He was going through a tough time, and Casey didn't know how to help him. "Jessica, please take him in. He needs some peace," Casey had begged me. I didn't know what to expect from Paul, but I understood why he needed to be here. We'd all gone through so much loss in the past. I lost my husband Jacob 7 years ago. He passed away suddenly from a heart attack, leaving me alone in an instant. We were in the middle of building our dream house. 1 minute, everything was perfect. The next, my world came to a crashing halt. For years, I've carried this emptiness inside me. The loneliness, though, it's been harder to bear recently. Nights like this, I feel it more than ever. Are you ready for a story that will stir your emotions? One that will blur the lines between right and wrong, between comfort and confusion? If this sounds like something you've been waiting for, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you won't miss a moment of what's to come. Trust me, this story is unlike any other. I slowly made my way into the living room, drawn by the soft glow of the lights. There, sitting on the couch, was Paul. He was watching some romantic movie, looking completely lost in it. My first thought was that I just needed to make sure Paul found some peace while staying with me. But little did I know, that night would mark the beginning of a shift in my life. "Did I wake you up?" Paul asked, turning to me. His voice was a mixture of uncertainty and something deeper, almost like he was searching for something he couldn't find. I stood there for a moment, still in my nightgown, but to be honest, none of that mattered. The truth was, I had never felt lonelier than I did in that moment. "No," I replied, offering a soft smile. "I just came to get some water." What I didn't say was how much I wanted to stay with him for a while. Maybe, just maybe, spending a little time with Paul could make the night feel less empty. I could pretend for a while that things were normal, that peace was still possible. "Come sit," Paul said, motioning to the empty space next to him. "Let's watch it together." I didn't even hesitate. I wanted to be close to someone, even if just for a moment. So, I sat down beside him. The movie began, but I couldn't really focus. There was something stirring inside me that I couldn't put into words. Paul's presence beside me, the soft sound of his voice, it all felt strange, different, in a way I wasn't prepared for. As the romantic scenes played out on the screen, I found myself looking away for a moment. The couple on the screen reminded me of things I thought I'd forgotten. Then, by accident, I turned my head and brushed against Paul's arm. I pulled back quickly. "I'm sorry," I blurted out, my heart racing. Paul didn't say anything for a second, and then, with a small nod, he simply said, "It's okay, don't worry about it." But even as he said that, I felt the space between us shrink. Something had changed. The movie continued, but neither of us could find any real peace. Even though we sat close, there was a tension between us that I couldn't explain. I'd never expected a simple movie night to feel like this. Yet here we were, two strangers drawn closer than I ever imagined. For the first time in years, I felt something stir inside me. Confusion, excitement, and a strange pull that made me question everything. When the movie finally ended, I couldn't stand to stay in the same space any longer. I got up and retreated to my room, hoping the quiet would give me the clarity I needed. But sleep didn't come easy. I tossed and turned all night, the weight of everything swirling inside me. By morning, I was exhausted. I decided to sit at the piano, hoping that the music would bring me some relief. The piano had always been my escape, a way to find comfort amidst the chaos. As my fingers danced across the keys, I heard a sound outside, a shadow moving in front of the window. It was Paul, taking a walk around town. I hadn't even noticed him, lost in the melody. Then he walked through the door and stood there, watching me. My fingers froze for a second. The moment was heavy, charged with an unspoken tension, but Paul simply smiled and said, "That was beautiful. Honestly, that's the best birthday gift I've ever gotten." His words struck me deeply. I wasn't prepared for the effect they would have on me. "Wait," I said, turning to him. "It's your birthday today?" "Yeah," he replied, smiling softly. "I'm turning 40 today." Suddenly, I wanted to do something special, something to mark the day. "Let's celebrate," I said, before the idea even fully formed. "How about we have some wine and cut a cake tonight?" Paul's face lit up, and I could tell he appreciated the gesture. "If you're suggesting it, I guess tonight might actually turn out to be fun," he said with a playful grin. Then, with a twinkle in his eye, he added, "But there's a catch. You have to play the piano for me again. No getting out of it." I laughed, the tension easing for just a moment. "All right," I agreed, "but only if we open a good bottle of wine and make a proper toast." The evening arrived, and the night unfolded in ways neither of us had expected. We laughed, talked, and opened our wine. But beneath the surface, something was changing between us. Every little glance, every shared smile seemed to pull us closer. When Paul asked me to play the piano again, I hesitated, but then agreed. I sat at the piano and let the music flow, hoping it would calm the storm inside me. But as I played, something else shifted. With every note, I felt closer to Paul. It was like the music was drawing us together in ways I couldn't explain. When he placed his hands over mine, the world seemed to stop. "You're an amazing woman," Paul said softly, his voice shaky. "You play the piano so beautifully." I didn't know how to respond. His words echoed in my mind, leaving me feeling vulnerable yet somehow grounded. And when he said, "Come on, let's sit on the couch. I've got a surprise for you," I followed him, unable to resist. As we sat together, Paul started playing my favorite song, the one I hadn't heard in years. The melody filled the room, pulling at my heart, stirring memories I wasn't ready to face. I walked toward him, almost instinctively, drawn to the music and the man who had become such a presence in my life. "What are you doing to me, Paul?" I whispered, feeling overwhelmed, excited, and terrified all at once. The night ended with more questions than answers. By the morning, everything felt different, and as I watched Paul in the kitchen making coffee, I couldn't help but wonder what came next. Things between us had shifted in ways I couldn't explain. What had we done? What did it mean? The emotions were still swirling, leaving me with more confusion than clarity. But one thing was certain. I had never felt this alive in years. This night, this connection, felt like the beginning of something that could change my life forever.